The champagne glass felt impossibly heavy in my hand as my cousin's words cut through the restaurant's warm lighting. I hope I never end up like her, single with a kid. The room erupted, but I didn't hear laughter. I heard the blood rushing in my ears, felt my pulse hammering against my collarbone. My fingers tightened around the stem of the glass, not trembling, not dropping it, gripping it like an anchor, while everything inside me went perfectly dangerously still. My uncle's voice boomed across the table. Men don't want used goods. That's just how it is. My mother's small chuckle was somehow louder than everyone else's laughter. That's when I knew. After years of biting my tongue, of smoothing things over, of being the family's acceptable punchline, I was done. The folder in my purse suddenly felt like it weighed 10 pounds. My name is Nicole. I'm 32 and a financial analyst. This is the story of how I made them stop laughing. I'd received the invitation to my cousin Lauren's engagement dinner 6 weeks earlier, cream cardstock with gold lettering, celebrating her upcoming marriage to Marcus Webb. I'd stared at it for a long time before setting it next to a stack of financial documents I'd been collecting for 3 months. Lauren and I hadn't spoken properly in over a year, not since she'd made comments at a baby shower about how I collected bad decisions along with baby clothes. I'd laughed it off then, kept the peace like I always did, but something had shifted in me that day. I'd started paying attention. Really paying attention. See, I'm a financial analyst. Pattern recognition is literally what I do for a living. And I'd noticed patterns in my family that had nothing to do with spreadsheets and everything to do with money that didn't quite add up. Lauren's designer wardrobe on a receptionist's salary. My Uncle Bernard's new boat when his auto shop was supposedly struggling. My mother's weekly spa appointments while claiming she couldn't afford to help with Oliver's daycare. So I'd done what I do best. I'd investigated. 3 months of quietly gathering public records, cross-referencing social media posts with stated incomes, tracking spending patterns, and documenting every passive-aggressive comment, every snide remark, every time they'd used me as their cautionary tale, while living lives that didn't match their tax brackets. I almost didn't go to the dinner, but then I realized this wasn't just Lauren's night. This was my opportunity. They'd handed me a stage, an audience, and the perfect moment. I found my nicest dress, borrowed shoes from my neighbor, and let my son Oliver choose my necklace. He picked a simple silver heart. "It looks strong, Mama," he'd said, "like you." The restaurant was predictably upscale. Private room, low lighting, expensive wine flowing freely, all paid for by my Uncle Bernard, who'd told me last Christmas he couldn't loan me money for Oliver's dental work because business was tight. I noted the $400 bottles of wine. I noted everything. Lauren floated through the room in silk and superiority. She greeted me with an air kiss. "So glad you came. Did you bring a date or just Oliver?" "Just Oliver," I said, smiling, "but I brought something else." She didn't catch the edge in my voice. Oliver was sent to the kids' table with crayons and chicken tenders. I was seated near the end of the main table between my mother and Aunt Patricia, who immediately showed me photos of her dog's vacation in Cabo. "We just needed to get away," she sighed. This was the same aunt who'd told me I was living beyond my means when I bought Oliver new shoes. I watched Marcus at the bar, checking his phone with the expression of someone who'd rather be anywhere else. I'd done my research on him, too. Software engineer, solid income, no debt. He seemed decent enough, which made what I was about to do feel almost merciful. The appetizers came. My mother leaned over. "Just keep your head down. You look nice." Nice. Not successful, not strong. Just nice enough not to embarrass her. I touched my purse where the folder waited. "Don't worry, Mom. I'm planning to make this memorable." When the main course was cleared, Lauren stood up. She tapped her fork against her champagne flute, and the room quieted. I watched her soak in the attention, and I felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no hurt, just cold, perfect clarity. "Thank you all for being here," Lauren began, her voice saccharine. "I can't believe I get to marry someone like Marcus. He's patient, successful, and most importantly," she paused for effect, "he chose right." A few people chuckled. She continued, "I mean, I'd hate to end up like some people. Single at 30-something with a kid." She turned her smile toward me. "No offense, Nicole. It's just, men want women who make good choices, you know?" The room erupted. Real laughter. My uncle slapped the table. Used goods don't retain value, that's basic economics. My mother reached for her wine, allowing herself a small smile. I set down my fork very carefully. Then I reached into my purse and pulled out the folder. Marcus noticed first. His eyes met mine, and something like recognition crossed his face, the look of someone who's been waiting for the other shoe to drop. I stood up slowly. The laughter didn't die immediately. A few people were still chuckling when I opened the folder. "That's an interesting point about economics, Uncle Bernard," I said, my voice clear and steady. "Want to discuss the economics of how a struggling auto shop owner affords an $85,000 boat? Because I have the purchase records right here." The room went silent so fast it felt like a physical force. Bernard's face drained of color. "Nicole, this isn't the time." "Oh, but it is," I continued, pulling out the first page. "See, when you make jokes about my choices, my financial situation, my life, I started wondering about your choices, your financial situation, your life." I looked around the table. "All of your lives." My mother was staring at me, frozen. "Mom, remember when you said you couldn't help with Oliver's daycare because money was tight?" I pulled out another document. "That was the same week you got Botox. I saw the receipts at your house last month. You know, from the account Dad left you, the account you told me was depleted." "Nicole," she started, but her voice cracked. "Aunt Patricia," I turned to her, "Cabo was beautiful, wasn't it? Those Instagram posts were stunning. Although I'm curious how you afforded it when you told me you couldn't contribute to Grandma's care facility costs because you were barely getting by." Patricia's hand shook as she set down her wine glass. Lauren was standing now, her face red. "What are you doing?" "I'm talking about choices, Lauren. You wanted to discuss choices." I met her eyes. "Let's discuss yours. You work part-time as a receptionist. Marcus, correct me if I'm wrong, but Lauren told you her designer wardrobe came from her trust fund, didn't she?" Marcus's silence was answer enough. "There is no trust fund," I said quietly. "There's credit card debt. $47,000 of it, to be exact. I pulled the public records." I placed a page on the table. "The debt she's been hiding from you. The debt she planned to become your problem the moment you said, 'I do.'" Lauren's mouth opened, but no sound came out. "You want to talk about bad choices?" I continued. "Let's talk about the family that spent years putting me down, using me as their cautionary tale, while living on credit cards, lies, and money they claim not to have whenever I needed help." My voice didn't rise. I didn't need to shout. "Let's talk about how you made my son's mother, a woman who works 2 jobs, who's never asked for handouts, who raised a kind, brilliant child completely on her own, feel like garbage so you could feel superior about your borrowed designer dresses and Botox and boats you can't afford." I looked directly at Lauren. "You're right about one thing. I do hope you never end up like me, because I'm honest. I pay my debts, and I would never tear down my own family to feed my ego." The silence was deafening. Then Marcus spoke. His voice was quiet but firm. "Is this true? About the debt?" Lauren's eyes were wild, darting between Marcus and me. "It's not. She's lying." "I have documentation," I said. "Public records, credit reports, all legally obtained." I looked at Marcus. "I'm sorry you're finding out this way. You seem decent. You deserve the truth." Marcus stood up slowly, his face unreadable. He looked at Lauren for a long moment, then reached for his jacket. "We need to talk. Privately. Now." Lauren's voice cracked. "Marcus, please." "Now, Lauren." They left the private room. The door closed with a soft click that somehow sounded final. I turned to the rest of the table. My uncle couldn't meet my eyes. My mother was crying silently. Aunt Patricia looked at her plate. "I came here tonight expecting exactly what happened," I said. "The jokes, the judgment, the casual cruelty disguised as family honesty. I came prepared to show you something you've never been willing to see, that the person you mock, the life you pity, is built on something none of you understand, integrity." I gathered my documents, placed them back in the folder. "Oliver and I are leaving now. Not because I'm ashamed, not because you've hurt me, but because I'm done letting people who don't even respect themselves determine my worth. I walked to the kids' table. Oliver looked up from his drawing, a rocket ship flying toward a giant sun. "Did you have fun, baby?" I asked. He nodded. "Can we go home now?" "Yes," I said. "We can." Marcus appeared in the doorway as I reached it. His face looked older somehow, tired. "Nicole," he said quietly, "thank you for the truth." I nodded. "You deserve to know." "Did you?" He hesitated. "Did you do this just to expose Lauren?" "No," I said honestly. "I did this to show everyone in that room that they don't get to use me anymore, that their hypocrisy has consequences, that the person they've spent years belittling is stronger and more honest than all of them combined." I shifted Oliver's hand in mine. "The Lauren thing was a bonus. She needed to hear the truth. You needed to hear it. What you do with it is your choice." He nodded slowly. "She just admitted it, all of it. She's been using credit cards in her sister's name too." I winced. "I'm sorry." "Don't be," he said. "You did me a favor." He looked at Oliver. "You've got an incredible mom, kid." Oliver beamed. "I know." Outside, the night air felt different, cleaner. Oliver skipped ahead on the sidewalk, humming and waving his drawing like a flag. I watched him and felt something settle in my chest. Not peace exactly, but resolution. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. "We need to talk." Then another from Aunt Patricia. "I'm sorry." Nothing from Lauren, I didn't expect anything. But the message that surprised me came an hour later, after I'd put Oliver to bed. It was from Marcus. "Called off the engagement. Thank you for having more respect for my future than my fiancé did. Also, your uncle's boat. I'm an attorney on the side. Those records you showed suggest some interesting tax discrepancies. Might want to forward them to the relevant authorities. Just a thought." I stared at that message for a long time. Then I opened my laptop and found the IRS tip line. The next morning, I made pancakes. Oliver sat at our small kitchen table working on a new drawing, this time of two people, one big, one small, both wearing capes. "Who's this?" I asked. "It's us," he said. "Superheroes. Because you were brave last night." "You noticed?" I asked, surprised. "I always notice, Mama," he said. "You're always brave." I sat down across from him, this child I'd raised alone, who saw me clearly when no one else bothered to look. "Baby, sometimes people say mean things because they feel small inside," I told him. "But you never have to make yourself small to make others feel big. Remember that." "I will," he said. Then, with the simple certainty of childhood, "They were wrong about you. Everyone knows you're the best." 3 weeks later, my uncle's auto shop got audited. 2 months after that, Lauren and Marcus's canceled engagement became the family's new whisper topic. Lauren's sister pressed charges for the identity theft. I heard Lauren accepted a plea deal to avoid jail time. My mother started therapy. We talk now, carefully and infrequently, with boundaries I enforce. Aunt Patricia sent Oliver a birthday present with an apology note tucked inside. I didn't forgive them, not yet, maybe not ever. But I didn't need to. Their opinions no longer had power over me. That night at the restaurant, I'd taken something back that I'd given them years ago. The authority to define my worth. My life isn't perfect. I still work 2 jobs. Our apartment is still small. Money is still tight. But Oliver is thriving. I'm building a consulting business on the side. And when I walk into rooms now, I walk in differently. Not as the woman they pitied. Not as the cautionary tale. As someone who knows exactly who she is. The story I want you to take from this isn't about revenge. It's about something more important. About recognizing when you've given people power they haven't earned. About understanding that their judgment says everything about them and nothing about you. About the moment you decide that their version of your story doesn't get to be the final draft. If you've ever been the punchline, the one they talked about in hushed tones, the person whose struggles made others feel superior, I need you to hear this. They are wrong. Not misguided, not slightly off, wrong. Your worth isn't determined by their approval. Your value isn't measured by their standards. Your life isn't less than because it looks different from what they expected. You are not used goods. You are not damaged. You are not too much or not enough. You are complete exactly as you are. And you deserve to be seen, not judged, not pitied, not fixed, seen for who you actually are. So many people spend their lives making themselves smaller, quieter, less visible, so they don't make waves in rooms where they were never meant to drown. But healing doesn't start when they finally accept you. It starts when you stop needing them to. If this story resonated with you, if it reminded you of your own strength, or a moment where you stood up for yourself, or a moment where you wish you had, like this video so others who need it can find it too. Drop a comment and share your story. I read every single one, and your words matter. Subscribe for more real conversations about the moments that test us and change us. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that might help you see yourself differently. And if someone in your life needs to hear this message, that they are worthy, that they are enough, that their story matters, share this video with them. You never know who's waiting to feel seen. Before you go, here's a quick bonus for sticking around. If you love learning and growing like I do, you need to try audiobooks. I've got an exclusive deal with Audible. Your first month is completely free. That's access to over 500,000 titles, zero cost to you. All the details are waiting in the description. Don't miss this one.